Hello everyone, welcome back. Tom with Capo Fetish. Today I'm going to talk about a handful of new releases I picked up over the past month or so, plus a little bonus I found at a local thrift store. So I'm going to start it off here with a fantastic archival release from David Bowie called Rock and Roll Star. These are selections chosen from the box set that was released about a month or two ago. The box set had about 5 CDs, a DVD, a huge book. I settled for just the highlights of that box set with this LP here. So it covers all of David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust period. There's so many highlights on here though. A few I'll mention here. Lady Stardust, there's a version on here. It's take one alternative version, and it showcases Bowie singing the tune in more of a lower register voice. On the official Ziggy album, it's more of in a higher register, but this is really, really cool and intimate. There's a version of The Who's I Can't Explain, which he initially did on the Pinups album, and they do it here with the Spiders band backing him, a little faster, a little more aggressive. A fantastic version of John I'm Only Dancing, an alternative Trident Studios version, which has a little bit of difference in mixing, which is really cool. Of course, some of these songs have been released already on different Ziggy compilations over the years, like Sweet Head and Velvet Goldmine, and Holy Holy and the Supermen. He does a version of Round and Round on here. Shadow Man is great. And then there's also the Top of the Pops version of Starman on here too, a 2022 remix. So this is really, really cool. If you can't spring for the box set, I highly recommend this 12-song LP version. It's fantastic. And as you can see, the glare is kind of fucking up the cover here a little bit. But anyway, David Bowie's Rock and Roll Star, fantastic archive release. Another one too, I just picked up a few days ago. I've only listened to it a few times, and supposedly this is going to be the final album by this band, kind of a final chapter in their discography. They have 9 albums. I'm talking about Los Angeles's X, the album called Smoke and Fiction. Really good return to form. About 4 years ago, they released an album called Alphabet Land, which I thought was a pretty good album. Their first album in years with Billy Zoom since 1985's Ain't Love Grand. I think this is even better. This has more hooks on it than Alphabet Land. The first track is really killer. It's called Ruby Church. It has all those classic X elements. Of course, those amazing harmonies, those really off-kilter harmonies from John Doe and Exene. Zoom is in fine form on guitar, and of course DJ Bonebreak and is just tight as fuck drumming. Also, a couple of other highlights on here. Big Black X is great. Smoke and Fiction, the title track. I've only listened to it about 2 or 3 times. It's kind of growing on me a little bit, and I think it's fantastic and a great way to close their chapter of the band. They're doing a final tour this year in 2024 that's going to go into 2025. I may see them one more time. I've seen X probably a good 10 times since about 1982, and they are one of my all-time favorite bands from the 80s. Their first 3-4 albums for me are just some of the greatest music from that period, especially Los Angeles Wild Gift and Under the Big Black Sun. This is not that album, those albums, but it's a really, really good final effort from X, one of the great bands from the punk era. Fantastic. Smoke and Fiction out on the Fat Possum Records label. Another one too, it's not brand new, but I saw it online. I'm like, God, I got to get this. This looks really cool. And it's Laura Nero's Go Find the Moon, the auction tape recordings. There's only about 8 tracks on here. And this was an audition tape Laura did in the summer of '66 for Milt Oken, and he was the guy that would produce her first album, would go on to produce her first album, More Than Just a Discovery, also known as the first songs on the Verve imprint. But if you're a Nero fan, I highly suggest this album. It is just, we have some early versions of When I Die and Lucky, but there's 3 tracks on here that were never recorded other than this audition tape. And one is just this gorgeous track called Enough of You, another one called In and Out, and another one called Go Find the Moon, featuring some of her most gorgeous singing. She was only 18 years old when she did this audition tape. And they're asking her during the audition if she knows any standards or any other artist songs and she kind of tries to get through a couple of songs here, like Kansas City and When Sunny Gets Blue. But I think they could tell that she was beyond that kind of material. And shortly after this audition, A&R man Artie Mogul took over her career, and then Milt Oken produced her first album. But it's only about eight songs. It's only about 18 minutes long. But if you're a Nero fan, this is a must. And it's just great to see her at such a young age. It's amazing at 18 years old, just out of the gate, what an absolute like prodigy she was at composing songs, and her piano playing and her gorgeous voice. So highly recommend this. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It might be online to hear, I'm not sure. But again, if you're a Nero fan, you must have it. It's a fantastic purchase. Another one too, this is probably my favorite of all the current archival releases, and this is Neil Young's early days here. I mentioned this in a previous video just real briefly, but this captures Neil, I think, in one of my favorite periods of his career, right in the beginning. That 68 through 70 period is so magical. I mean, he was incapable of writing a bad song during this period. And these particular recordings were part of the Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere sessions, plus sessions after that album was released. So most of these songs have been re-released on those archival box sets and stuff. I mean, this guy, Neil Young, he's just putting out an archival release every week, it seems. It's hard to catch up with the plethora of releases from Neil Young. But there are so many amazing tracks on here. If only I could see them in the light here. We've got Dance, 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 starting it off. One of my favorites on this album, though, is the studio version of Wonderin', which the first time I ever heard it, I heard it on the Fillmore East archive album from Neil Young from 1970. Here it is in its studio form. You also have a Crazy Horse version of Helpless, which of course Neil did on the Deja Vu album with CSN. And then there's an alternate version of Cowgirl in the Sand, which features the backup vocals up a little higher in the mix, which is really, really infectious. You have a studio band version of the song Birds that was on After the Gold Rush, but I think this is just a fantastic listen. It's kind of like the lost Neil Young album from the 69 period. This could have been released. I mean, there's a little overlap from the Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere with Cinnamon Girl and Cowgirl in the Sand, but the rest of the songs would have made a perfect follow-up to Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere right before After the Gold Rush came out. So to me, this is like just an absolute gold here, Neil Young release. There's been so many archival releases. And I think this one, along with the Live at Massey Hall in 71 and the Tonight's the Night at the Roxy, I think these are my three favorite. I've been playing this nonstop. It is just fantastic. And it's great just hearing that raw Crazy Horse vibe, you know, just bass, drums, guitar, and then you've got Jack Nietzsche on piano. So it's just really great. You've got another studio version that I've never heard before of Come On Baby, Let's Go Downtown by Danny Whitten. So it's just full of little surprises. There's 10 songs total, and it flows really well like a real album. So highly recommend this if you're a Neil Young fan, if you haven't already bought it. It's fantastic. Early days from Neil Young and Crazy Horse. And another one, too, I've been really, really heavily into Blur since the beginning of the year. I just cannot get enough of Blur. I have been listening to Modern Life is Rubbish and Park Life and The Great Escape and the self-titled one from 97 nonstop. Those songs are going through my head like a mantra every day. You know, wake up and there's like, stereotypes going through my head. There's another day, it's Villa Rosie. You know, it's just the songwriting. I just never knew Blur was so freaking amazing, right? Got into them 30 years late, but it's never too late. So I just out of curiosity, I had to hear what Blur sounded like now. So I picked up this Blur Live at Wembley Stadium. These were a pair of shows they did last year around July 2023. They sound amazing. They haven't lost any of that spark. Damon's voice is a little more, it's a little more aged, a little deeper, but it doesn't really hamper the performance at all. You could tell there's a lot of passion in this performance. The crowd is loving it, and the reason why I really picked this up was I loved the song list on here. It's just one great banger after another, and Villa Rosie is on here, which is one of my favorite Blur songs. Of course, you have like Beetlebum, Tracy Jacks, Pop Scene, You have a few tracks here from Modern Life is Rubbish, like, which one is it? It's Advert, and you got Oily Water. So it's a 2-disc set. It's not like a necessity to have, but I was just more curious to see what Blur sounded like now. These still sound great. And it's more like a souvenir for people who didn't see the tour. I really wanted to see them when they came to California. They did one night in Pomona. And of course, it was sold out just like that. And then they played Coachella, and I heard that was kind of a disaster with the crowd lacking in excitement. But so not a necessity, but it's very enjoyable to listen to. So this is Blur's live at Wembley Stadium, a fantastic 2-disc set. And then a few weeks ago, a friend asked me to go crate digging at some local thrift stores, right? And over the years, I've done that. And usually all you really find in the crates at thrift stores are Ray Conniff albums or Mac Davis or, Percy Faith albums, albums that our parents listen to. So I was kind of reluctant, but I went, and we hit about 4 stores. I got a few Petula Clark albums that were like $1. I think an Alison Moyet album as well. But we landed at this one independent thrift store that wasn't like Goodwill or Salvation Army. And I was just browsing through the books and everything, and I found this mint copy of this John Lennon paperback here. Couldn't believe it. In His Own Right and Spaniard in the Works, 2 complete books in this paperback. I don't know when this came out, but it's like they sold it for $8. And it was just sitting there, on the shelf. So I had to take it. So it was kind of like a little bit of excitement there to find something at a thrift store, because usually I don't. And especially anything Lennon, I'm all in. So pretty cool. There's the back right there. And I never owned these books here by Lennon to begin with. So it's kind of cool to have both of them on paperback. So kind of a cool little find there from the thrift store. And only $8. So that's what's been going on, folks. Thanks for watching. We have more videos coming up here in the next couple of days. I'm going to do a full XTC album ranking and other treats coming up. So stay tuned. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any comments, throw them in the comments section. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.